What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It is February 10th, 2021. I want to talk about the jobs market, employment, what's going on with the job growth rates, the jobless claims. We have those numbers coming out tomorrow. Lately in the news, what I feel most Americans are paying attention to right now are things like the Super Bowl, the Trump impeachment trials. This is the modern day equivalent of bread and circus, right? In ancient Rome, it was gladiatorial games, slaying tigers and, exotic animals in the Colosseum. In 2021, it's impeachment of a former president, a guy who's not even in office anymore. It's things like the Super Bowl, the halftime show, mindless entertainment, right? This is what a lot of people are paying attention to. And people are following mainstream media news, such as the impeachment trial. They're following that, not even realizing that it's really nothing more than entertainment. It's drama, right? It's nothing more than drama. It's not important. It's not the real story, in my humble opinion. And all I can really do is come on here every night and share with you guys what I'm looking at, share with you guys the numbers that I'm checking on, week by week, day by day, the charts that I'm looking at, the numbers that I'm looking at, and sort of just my own interpretation. That's the best I can do, but I really do. I mean, I experienced this with, people in my own life that are completely hypnotized by what the mainstream media is serving them on a silver platter, for lack of a better term. It's actually not a silver platter, right? Nobody in my life actually has silver, except for myself. But, what people are being told is important is all distractions. That's what I'm trying to say. And so, I was talking about this with people close to me, right? People in my life. They don't even realize that every Thursday, the jobless claims come out Thursday morning, right? They don't even realize that. They know everything about the Trump impeachment. They know every single little detail of what Trump said the day, that the riots ensued. They know what Chuck Schumer's position is on it, Nancy Pelosi's statements, right? But they have no idea that every Thursday the jobless numbers come out. They also don't know that Fed Jerome Powell, or Fed Chairman Jerome Powell, says today, actually, right? He was speaking at an event. I have the story right here from CNBC. Fed Chair Powell says interest rates will stay low for a while, citing a bleak jobs picture. All right, despite an unemployment rate that has fallen to 6.3%, which is absolute, horse right? We know it. Fed Chair Jerome Powell said the employment picture is a long way from where it needs to be. Powell noted that the actual unemployment rate is probably closer to 10%, right? And said that the Fed needs to stay focused on its broad and inclusive employment goal, right? Kind of more empty platitudes from the Fed. But Jerome Powell himself says that this 6.3% unemployment number is bogus. It's much closer to 10%. It's probably more than that, right? I wouldn't be surprised if we're looking at 20% unemployment in this country right now. And, for that, they're going to be keeping interest rates low. They're going to continue to want to, support the economy with stimulus and quantitative easings. But the point of this, right, is that most Americans are not following this. Like, the general public is not following this. People in my family are not following this. My friends are not following this. Probably people close to you in your lives are not following this. They're following everything else, right? All of the infotainment, the drama, the bread and circuses. That is what Americans are fixated on. And, they are being propagandized to that extent. I won't get into that, but to me, what Jerome Powell says is just another red flag, right? It's another big, bright red flag that all is not well, that things are actually getting worse, that the state of the economy is in a state of depression. All right, and this is going to be long-lasting. It's going to be far-reaching. These are going to, this economic depression is going to last for a very, very long time, and it's going to affect you and I and everyone that we know. And the, top 1% has really benefited from the lockdowns. They've benefited from everything from, the CV, spread, the lockdowns, the government restrictions. They have profited off of small businesses being completely decimated because of these government responses, and they are going to continue to give us breadcrumbs, right? They're going to continue to give us bread in circuses, and the bread takes form, in 2021 as stimulus checks, right? Where maybe in ancient Rome, it was actually loaves of bread that they were just handing out to people. Well, now it's $600 stimulus checks, $1,200 stimulus checks, $1,400 stimulus checks. I truly do believe that this is the start of universal basic income, not only here in America, but throughout the Western world. Absolutely, take the money and put it towards your survival. But we should not allow them to deceive us with what the intention is. I think the intention is to get the general public hooked on stimulus, and now they're saying that if you make over $50,000 a year, you may not get a stimulus check. $100,000 a year in a place like Los Angeles is really not all that much, right? Especially if you have a family and kids that you're supporting, you could be living well below, the sort of what most people would consider to be poverty. And Americans are slipping into poverty, right? Across the board, the poorest of the poor have already been completely destroyed. What's left of them is, these are the people that we see on the streets. These are the people that are, struggling with issues out there in the cold on a February night. But the middle class is who they are focused on now. Controlling them, destroying them, but controlling them. And, there's all of these, signals that I see everywhere around me. And when we get this kind of news, especially from the Fed themselves, that the jobs outlook, it's not good. It's not good at all. It's just another big, bright red flag that most people are ignoring. Sort of like most people are ignoring the jobless claims that come out every Thursday. Just like I follow the SPY, just like I follow the price of gold and silver and crude, I am following these jobless claims numbers that come out every Thursday morning, except if it's a holiday. I think they come out maybe the day before. What is it going to be tomorrow? Last week it was 725,000, I think, which was lower than expectations. And the way they spin this is that 700,000 jobs lost within the last week or so is a good thing. Right, it's a good thing because it's not 800,000, or it's down from the week before when it was 900,000. But for months now, 10 months, 11 months, it's been anywhere from damn near a year. Every single week, we have been losing almost 1 million jobs a month, and I would not be surprised if it is more like 1 million jobs a month. Right, like Jerome Powell from the Fed says that the unemployment rate is bogus, that it's not 6.3%, it's closer to 10%. So these numbers that they're giving us when they say, 725,000 or 800,000 new jobless claims the past week, I would probably, bet that those numbers are fixed. They're manipulated. They'll do whatever they can to diminish them, to make them look smaller, because most people aren't going to look into it. And most people aren't even going to question it anyways, right? Most people just, they take everything in that the mainstream media or the government tells them, and they take it at face value for what, and they just believe everything without questioning, without being skeptical whatsoever. And I think skepticism is healthy, right? To just take all of this in, what the government is telling you in the mainstream media, and to not question it at all, or to think that there's no possible way they could be lying or manipulating these numbers. I really do not think that's healthy, and it hurts. It sucks, because it's like people that are close to me are very deep, right, in the brainwashing. They're very deep in the propaganda. But, these are the things that everyone should be paying attention to. And that's why I'm talking about it in my videos. That's why I'm, really focusing on this kind of stuff. Like in my video yesterday, we talked about crime. I wish there was some sort of daily chart we could follow, an index, right? A crime index. Maybe there is on the FBI websites, but crime is absolutely on the rise. You have people that are not only deranged, but now you have people that are desperate. And I think the most dangerous person out there is the desperate and the deranged. That combination put together, it can be deadly. Road rage, this is everywhere now, even in small town America. Just look up your local town, your local city, and crime on Google. I scrolled through some stuff yesterday. We had shootings at a Social Security Administration building. We have shootings. We have child molestations. I mean, it is... there's definitely an uptick in crime. So I do think it's getting more dangerous out there in the U.S. This is something else that the media just refuses to talk about. Sure, they'll talk about the Capitol being raided by a bunch of MAGA nuts, but, calling for the arrests of the people that were burning down police precincts all summer, no, those people will probably never see justice. And now, the party wants to pretend that they're the party of law and order, that they're the party who respects police, who wants to support police, when the past year they've been saying defund the police, F the police, and all of this kind of thing. The flip-flopping, and most Americans cannot see it. The dollar and its value, the inflation rates, right? This is other information that most Americans just, they don't even consider it. But I was watching some kind of interview, a podcast between Peter Schiff and Meet Kevin. And it was an interesting collab. I've never seen them together on camera, but Meet Kevin, a guy is wildly successful financially as he is, and wildly successful, with his social media. He actually asked Peter Schiff, when is the inflation coming? When can we expect the inflation? And Peter Schiff kind of chuckled and, simply explained to him, the inflation is already here. It's food prices, it's housing prices, it's the stocks, right? The equities are not at these high valuations because of earnings or revenue or anything like this. It's inflation, right? The money supply has been so expanded. The money printing, which is more metaphorical when I use that term, but because most of this stuff, it's on balance sheets, and it's on the Fed's balance sheet, and it's just numbers digits on a screen. But the money supply has been expanded so much that the inflation's already here, right? This has been going on. Quantitative easing alone has been going on for almost 10 years now. And so, you do see it at the grocery stores. You see it in your stock account. You see it when, just in everyday life. There are many, many examples, the prices of commodities in general, right? We are, I believe, in a commodities bull market. which is good because rising commodity prices overall, right? If the CRB index is rising, that will support things like gold and silver. So if you're holding gold and silver, that should continue to go up. But this is the inflation that we're talking about. And to see somebody, that is as successful as somebody like me, Kevin, for him to ask, where's the inflation? I don't notice it. Maybe he's out of touch. Maybe, because of his financial situation, he just cannot see it. But Peter Schiff, kind of, I think, got to him. And this guy, Kevin's got a huge audience, so it would be really good to see him kind of take some of the things that Peter Schiff has been talking about and instead of spreading the California socialist message, to maybe spread more of the libertarian-minded stuff that Peter Schiff talks about. But even Peter Schiff himself, I think when it comes to his eternal bear on the dollar kind of rhetoric, I think it's delusional. I think Peter Schiff wants to believe that the dollar is going to collapse, but you have to consider that this is the global reserve currency. The dollar has seen the lows that it's at now. It's seen them before. Could we go lower and go into the lows that we were at in the early 2000s? It's possible. But lately the dollar has been showing a little bit more strength. The dollar index did pull back the past couple of days. But when you think about how all of these different nations need dollars to trade in because it's the global reserve currency, people like Peter Schiff will say that, China and India and all these other countries, they're not using dollars. They're having to use their local currencies because they're turning away from the dollar. When they don't really, he doesn't present the demand aspect for the dollar. Perhaps these countries are having to trade in some of their local currencies simply because there's not enough dollars to go around. The demand is so high. And then you think about the dollar-denominated debt. There's a lot of it, okay? So all of this is going to have to be paid back in dollars. And so, I like some of the things that Peter Schiff says, but when it comes to the dollar, I just don't, I don't believe the dollar is just going to completely collapse or that they're going to just switch over to Bitcoin or something tomorrow. I don't believe that. I think the dollar is going to be here probably for my lifetime. Could I see a complete collapse and kind of a do away with the dollar in my lifetime? I suppose it's possible, but I'm not expecting that anytime soon. I'm actually expecting the dollar to rise short term, right? So holding cash, having cash in my stock account, having cash reserves, outside of the banking system, that's what I'm going to be focusing on. And when they do move to a digital dollar, I think the cash is going to become even more valuable. That's sort of my contrarian opinion there. But when we think about things like Bitcoin, I do appreciate some of the things that Peter Schiff has to say. It's the entire CNBC crowd, right? The mainstream, the establishment that is really making this push towards Bitcoin. But, they really want everybody buying Bitcoin. And it's sort of the same thing when I look at these high stock valuations. I'm not interested in buying, Tesla at 900 or PayPal at 300 or Amazon at 3,000. I'm not interested in any of this. And when I look at Bitcoin, to me, it just looks like another fake Ponzi scheme, kind of like our stock market. Now, I'll trade our stock market. Don't get me wrong. Right. And if you're trading Bitcoin or if you're making money off of cryptocurrencies, I'm happy for you. All the power to you. But I do think that when the entire establishment is attempting to get the general public interested in something, it's probably not good for you. It's probably not the truth. The other thing is, and I got a lot of pushback for my Bitcoin criticism the past couple of videos. The Elon Musk fanboys come out of the woodwork and, they don't like any sort of criticism about Bitcoin. They will just straight up trash you because you don't own Bitcoin or you're not, you're too dumb to understand cryptocurrencies. But the way I look at it is, a lot of people will say, well, Bitcoin is scarce. There's only 21 million of them. So it's scarce. It's a commodity. It's scarce. And, it can never be, more of them can never be made. And this is why you want to get your hands on Bitcoin. But Bitcoin can be divided. I think its lowest, the most common form that it's probably bought and traded in is Satoshis, which is it's a fraction of a Bitcoin. I'm not sure how much one Satoshi would be right now, but Bitcoin, maybe there's 21 million of those, but how many Satoshis are there, right? There's probably trillions of Satoshis, all right? And so when you think about it that way, is it really that scarce? Not to mention that it's not the only cryptocurrency, right? There's, 8,000 different cryptocurrencies right now. It's not the scarcity aspect of it is not really there like all the Bitcoin bulls, the whales want you to believe. And why do they want us to believe this? Because they have to dump it on someone. Some of them are holding millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin, and they need somebody to dump it onto, right? So why do you think the mainstream media is trying to convince you to buy Bitcoin? To me, it just seems very, very dangerous. I'm not interested in it at all. And, I don't like the idea of a currency, which I don't think Bitcoin is really a currency. If anything, it's like an online commodity. But for some of the reasons that Ray Dalio has brought up, the price volatility doesn't make it a good currency. It's also, because of that, it's not a very good store of wealth. And nothing is actually priced in Bitcoin, though. Elon Musk says that he'll now accept Bitcoin in the future. If you want to buy a Tesla, you can pay with Bitcoin. Will we ever get to a point where this is adopted? Massively adopted, where you'd walk into a grocery store and pay with Bitcoin? Let's hope not. But I think, the central banks, they'll come up with their own digital currency, and, Bitcoin will definitely not be it, especially if they're not in control of it. We're also told that it's a decentralized system. But again, I think that's kind of a ploy just to get people, DeFi, decentralized finance. These are ploys similar to the ploy that, they convinced us all to use social media, right? Because it would connect us and we could broadcast ourselves to the world, right? When really it was always about surveillance and gathering information for advertisers, right? We're never actually the customers. That's what I'm trying to say here. Same thing with Robinhood. Robinhood has people convinced that they are the customers. The customers are the market makers who get to channel, the peasants' orders, right? And so we are not the customers. Somebody else is the customer, and it's the whales that need to dump their cryptocurrency onto the general public. So I don't trust it one bit. It's always these corny millennials, right? My generation. A lot of us, we're corny. We're corny, we're dumb, we're naive, and the same crowd that sort of believes that the internet came out of the private sector, this is the same crowd that is trying to convince you and I to buy Bitcoin. But hey, I could be wrong. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. What's on your watch list? Real quick, let's just go over commodities. You got crude at over $58 a barrel. The road to 100 is probably coming up sooner than we think. Gold is hovering around 1841. Silver just went under $27 an ounce. It's at $26.92 as of making this video at 7:23 p.m. on the 10th of February. And with crude, right? I think this is I think it's about a 6-year high. Not a 6-year high. It's about a yearly high right now. So we haven't seen these, $58 a barrel since probably this time last year. So pretty big news. But let me know what you guys are watching. What's on your watch list? Where are you putting your money? And don't forget to follow me on social media. Hit the subscribe button, that red button down below. Smash that like button. It's much appreciated. Big shout out to everybody on Patreon and PayPal supporting my channel over all of these years. or my many channels. And if you're new around here, welcome. It's good to have you. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your evening. As always, until next time, God bless.